Good evening. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, Madam Chair. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd first like to welcome my fellow board members. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Good evening, Madam Chairman.
And our clerk, Meredith. Our town manager will be coming in later.
Hello, Meredith.
Ladies and gentlemen in the audience and those watching at home. Our first order of business tonight is a public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the Saugus Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing for Uma Flowers LLC pursuant to the order of the Land Court remanding the matter back to the Board of Selectmen by court order in decree 24-00022 MDV, entered on December 10th, 2024, for further hearing. The court's judgment requires further proceedings consistent with its findings of fact and conclusions of law. The hearing pertains to a special permit, S2, application to allow for a recreational marijuana establishment at 24 Broadway, Saugus, Mass. 01906. The hearing will take place on Tuesday, February 4th, 2025 at Saugus Town Hall Auditorium, 2nd floor, 298 Central Street, Saugus, Mass. Time 6:00 p.m. Before we get into the hearing, I think it's important to recap what has led up to this point. Saugus Town Meeting voted in May 2022 to approve a change amending the town zoning bylaws to allow for adult-use marijuana establishments in Saugus. The Attorney General approved this change in November 2022. As suggested by the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission, a marijuana establishment review committee was created to develop the process and criteria for selecting prospective marijuana business and to advise the town manager, who is responsible for negotiating the host community agreements. The Marijuana Establishment Review Committee, or MERC for short, consisted of the town manager, Scott Crabtree, Police Chief Michael Riccadelli, Fire Chief Michael Newberry, Director of Public Health John Freilich, Procurement Director Michelle Wendell, Planning Board Member Jeannie Meredith, and Building Commissioner Michael LaVecchia. On January 24th, 2023, the Town of Saugus issued a request for information to parties seeking to operate an adult-use marijuana establishment in Saugus. The MERC reviewed each respondent based on their business model, impact, location, direct experience, and general issues such as site design, operations, and utilities. The MERC prioritized factors such as health and safety, security, impact on the town, and more. A rubric was used to score each applicant. 7 responses were received, including Uma Flowers, and the Board of Selectmen had hearings to determine which companies were best suited to come into Saugus. Uma Flowers submitted their application for an S2 permit on August 10th, 2023. Prior to the town manager granting a host community agreement, the Board of Selectmen have to vote a special permit, which requires 4 votes out of 5 members. This is defined under the marijuana bylaw that the Board of Selectmen is the special permit granting authority. The board held hearings on September 12th, September 13th, October 10th, and December 12th, 2023. Selectman Ciccolini had a conflict since his accounting firm represents one of the companies that applied, so he could not take part in any of those hearings. Considering this, all 4 members of the Board of Selectmen had to vote in favor for it to pass. At the December 12, 2023 hearing, the Board of Selectmen denied Uma's S2 permit by a vote of 3-1. Uma then appealed under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A. A trial was held in the Land Court in December 2024, at the conclusion of which the court found in favor of Uma Flowers. And it made certain findings regarding the S2 permit and remanded the application to the Board of Selectmen for further consideration. The notice of the initial denial of UMA's S2 application stated that the grounds for denial were related to location, adequate parking, and egress. The court determined that the location, which is not an explicit criterion in the bylaw, concerned adverse impact on abutters and other parties of interest and impact on neighboring uses. Parking and egress were determined to be the remaining aspects. As such, these were the criteria reviewed by the court to determine if there was substantial evidence to support the denial of UMA's application under those parts of the bylaw. The court found that there was insufficient evidence to support the denial of UMA's application based on these criteria. In so ruling, the court ordered that, on remand, the Board of Selectmen is bound by the court's findings and may not reconsider the issues of location, impact of abutters, other parties of interest, neighboring uses, parking, or egress. Consequently, the Board of Selectmen may only consider the following criteria on remand: that the marijuana establishment demonstrates that it will meet all of the permitting requirements of all applicable agencies within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and will be in compliance with all applicable state laws and regulations. 2, that the applicant has satisfied all of the conditions and requirements of Section 22 of the zoning bylaws and other applicable sections of the Saugus zoning bylaws. And 3, that the marijuana establishment provides adequate security measures to ensure that no individual participant will pose a direct threat to the health and safety of other individuals, and that the storage and/or location of marijuana product is adequately secured. In summary, the Board of Selectmen is now limited to only consider the 3 criteria I mentioned above, and that is 3 out of the 5 of section in the bylaw 22.9.1, and those are subparts B, C, and D. The judge ruled that they met all the other criteria. No deficiencies were previously found concerning these remaining 3 main criteria. With that said, I'd like to welcome representatives from UMA Flowers, and that they state their names and addresses and a summary of any additional evidence that they would like to provide to the Board of Selectmen tonight for us to consider. Thank you.
Madam Chairman,
Of course.
I'd like to just make a comment before we start. As Madam Chair mentioned in her opening statement, I was not able to participate. I recused myself due to conflict. I did contact the Ethics Commission since. My firm's client, I don't work with them directly, but I'm one of the owners. They were not selected in the MERC as one of the finalists, so they were excluded from the finalization of getting a permit. I did verify with the Ethics Commission that I could fully participate in the hearing going forward without any prejudice, and we have since contacted our client to let them know that we were participating, and they too had no problem with me continuing. So I just wanted to point that out to the public as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Selectman Ciccolini. Would you like to come to the podium, please?
Thank you for that, Selectman Ciccolini. Thank you to the chair and members of the board. Sorry. My name is Valerio Romano from VGR Law Firm. I represent UMA Flowers. I think the chair went through sort of the procedural history and the history of this, so I'm not going to belabor that. It was part of my notes, but I'm happy that's all resolved for me, and I can keep moving forward. I'm joined by Priyanka Patel, who's one of the founders of UMA Flowers, and Dominic DeMello, part of the UMA Flowers local team and part of our security team. As everyone's aware, the litigation surrounding this was resolved, and the court made our lives a lot easier. And so we are going to just proceed consistent with the findings and just touch on the issues that were not resolved by the court. And so I have my notes right here. One moment. So we've submitted a compliant application. We had a couple updates from the previous application. One update, we submitted a slightly different site plan with this application, but it's essentially the same. It's a site plan actually that the court used because the court reviewed the issues de novo. So we made some slight updates. So it's the exact same one the court approves when the court made the finding that our location was adequate, our egress, our parking, all that. When the court made that determination, this is the site plan the court relied on. We also actually provided a lease because there was, we had an LOI for the parking spaces next by at the Army Navy store, the Army barracks next door. We now have an actual lease for those spaces. We also since purchased the property. That's how much faith we have that this is finally going to work out. So we purchased the property, so we supplemented the application by, in fact, attaching the deed for the property holding company. So we own, our related entity owns the property now. I think that was our amendments. Just because I wanted to make sure that the understanding was, I mean, it's essentially the same application, and the things that were different essentially relate to the property and the location and the issues that are resolved by the court. But I wanted to point out that that there are some slight amendments to the original application. So the first, on the S2 permit application, the proposed business, it's a marijuana retailer. Not going to belabor it. If anybody would like to interrupt, or once I'm done, ask further questions about what we propose. But I'm just going to quickly run through the different elements from the S2 permit application. Marijuana retailer, we operate two, one in Lunenburg and one in Pepperell already. So we've been through all the state licensing, et cetera. Hours of operation, we're requesting 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., which are what is authorized under the adult use zoning bylaw. Maybe up to 15 full-time employees. Background experience, like I said, we already operate two of these dispensaries in Massachusetts. I'm a lawyer in California and Massachusetts that solely does this. So between our team, we have significant experience operating these. We attached to our application our floor plan, our parking plan, but all the location issues are specifically found, sufficient by the court. Then there's the Article 22 requirements from the bylaw, the name and address of each owner. We included those. The location's not yet licensed. We have site control. We showed you the deed. The manager, Priyanka, we submitted the same notarized statement. We also updated our traffic impact assessment to be the exact same one that the court relied on when found that the traffic issues are completely resolved and not germane for the select board tonight. All traffic has been resolved. It's one of the things the judge essentially instructed the board. And then and the judge actually said we're compliant with the bylaw. We believe that we are. We're properly zoned. We're far enough away from any offending uses. Our location is adequate. We don't exceed the number of allowed, the cap of 3 based on the package type stores in Saugus, so that there aren't 3 open. In fact, Sanctuary, which was the other one, which was the one that the board actually approved that was also at the top of the Merck list, Sanctuary, which is the only one that was approved by the board, they do not have their host community agreement yet, so this is not open. So there are no bylaw issues. We have submitted a draft host community agreement. I know that once we get to that has all changed in the last year with the Cannabis Control Commission. We'll sit down with Mr. Crabtree and anybody else on the board that wants to be part of that conversation, and we'll execute a host community agreement. I mean, basically what the commission did was they took a lot of the sort of the negotiation out of that. So we'll move forward with Mr. Crabtree on that. We gave a description of our charitable activities in Pepperell, of evidence of how we will operate in Saugus. We gave a description of how we will remain compliant in the future with local bylaws. We'll follow the host community agreement. We'll follow the special permit. We're going to have to go to planning board for site plan review eventually. We're going to go to them. We'll follow the various boards and conditions that are set forth in our application. The next is that we will meet all permitting requirements of all applicable agencies in the Commonwealth. We're operating 2. So, I mean, we'll do that. We can get through the Commonwealth. I don't know. I can't even count the number of cannabis businesses that I have cited successfully through the Cannabis Control Commission now. So that's really a non-issue. UMA already operates 2. The next one Section 2 is that the applicant has satisfied all the conditions and requirements in applicable sections of the zoning bylaw. So there's a couple. So the chair is obviously correct on what the court said, and the zoning bylaw is still at issue. But the court did say the substantial evidence shows the location of UMA's Flowers' proposed retail establishment suffices under the bylaw. and no one should have rejected the application on grounds of anything having to do with the proposed location. So the court does say that our location suffices under the bylaw. I ran through the rest of the bylaw conditions. We are far enough away from any offending uses where there's no other dispensary close to us. That was the issue with Bostica, but their site, I think, has now been sold to a pizza place or something like that. That's no longer an issue. We haven't gotten to 3. So we fit the bylaw. Our location fits, it's properly zoned, so we fit the bylaw. Adequate security measures. So we got a letter of support from Pepperell Police Chief attached as Exhibit A. We got the chief, police chief and fire chief were part of the MERC, and they gave us perfect scores across the board. So we're relying on them to say, look, these guys have proven to us that they were secure, right? We submitted our security plans, some of them redacted. Obviously, we don't want the whole world to know exactly what we're going to do for security, but your police and fire chief gave us perfect scores. We were the top scoring applicant with unanimous perfect scores. So we also have our security measures in a report from Ed Davis, which we included. Chief DeMella is here with a letter of support that we included. And so we satisfied the security requirement condition, and I'm happy to talk any further about that. And then the final issue under whether it's the S2 permit application cover sheet or the bylaw was circulation, flow, parking, queuing, and that's all been resolved by the court. So we have an ideal location where, if things move forward as I expect, Sanctuary was approved by the board last time. Hopefully, eventually, they'll get a host community agreement. They'll be on the southbound side, and we'll be on the northbound side. And the town will get 3% off the top of our sales via the local option tax. And then anything else that can be shown as an impact via the host community agreement fee. And we'll keep moving forward from there. So that's, essentially our application. With that, I'm happy to take any questions unless, Priyanka, Dom, did you have anything to add? No? Okay. With that, I'd love to answer any questions.
And what were the hours of operation that you're requesting?
We're asking 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
7 days a week?
7 days a week. I believe that's what's authorized under the bylaw.
Those are the maximum
And so,
hours under the bylaw.
So that's what we're asking now. It could be that we decide for a business reason that we want to be open from 9 to 9, and maybe on Sunday we'll close a little earlier, but if we're limited to those via the special permit, then we won't be able to make that as a business decision going forward. So we'd ask under the special permit to be allowed the maximum allowable hours. And that'll also allow us to be competitive with the dispensaries that are open and going to be opening in neighboring towns, so that, you don't lose a portion of that revenue because we are forced to close at 8 p.m. and somebody goes a few miles away to a different dispensary because they're open till 10. So, by allowing us to maximum hours, the flexibility for us to make the business decision, that's our request.
Selectman Ciccolini.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple things, just from summarizing. You mentioned when you started speaking about the lease for the additional 10 parking spots, but it's important to point out that you meet the parking requirement with or without the 10 spaces. So that's more of a convenience. And the lease that you have is a 3-year lease, and they obviously have a right of cancellation if they sell or repurpose the property and need that back. But even if they did, if they canceled it after 6 months with notice, it's okay because you still meet the bylaw requirement for the number of spaces based on the property. So you're doing that more as a convenience to give more overflow parking and parking for your employees and things of that nature.
Yeah, Mr. Ciccolini, and so, I almost regretted doing that, because the next door parking became this red herring, in the first review, in the first issue, when we didn't need it at all, right? I think the calculation is 14, right? And we have, we have 27 local, right? So 27 on site. So we didn't, sometimes if you have to, in order to meet the bylaw, if you're off site, then we would have to go to the zoning board of appeal or something for a variance. We don't have to do that. We have double the parking required. And so I've been for the last 2 years almost, I've been why did we even do that? Everybody's squabbling about this next door parking lot, but yeah, you explained it exactly right.
It's more of a convenience to have it if you need it,
We're going to probably park our employees there,
Yeah.
right? So we have the 27 spaces open for customers. I can tell you that it's probably 15 minutes max that a customer is going to be there. More and more customers are ordering online. They're in and out in just a few minutes, as Priyanka knows, because she runs a couple of them.
Yeah.
And so, Max, if you had 27 spaces with 4 times an hour, I mean, the town's going to have a lot of money in
How long
revenue.
before they come out with drive-through windows?
I don't know. The states.
Jesus.
The states, I mean, the Cannabis Control Commission is really kind of like figuring stuff out internally,
Yeah, I know.
so I don't expect them to make any big changes.
I was being
right
slightly
now.
facetious.
Yeah.
But, okay, that's what I wanted to ask.
Thank you. Do Board Member?
Madam Chairman, thank you.
Selectman
How
Cogliano.
many customers do you anticipate coming there a day?
Well, I mean, it's really tough to tell because we don't know how many are going to be open. So if we had 12, to 15 customers an hour, that would be great. 150 customers. I mean, it could be 3 times that, but I don't expect more than that. I mean, it's just tough to tell because we don't know. So as far as I know, unless something's changed, Saugus has a third, possible license based on the number of package stores.
Mm-hmm.
What if that is open just right outside of the required 1,500-foot buffer from us? That would obviously diminish our traffic. What happens if something opens on northbound, side that's near us? So it's hard to tell. I mean,
There already is one.
yeah,
There's one
further
right
up.
further
yeah,
up.
yeah.
No, northbound's further down.
Further
too.
down too, and
Yeah,
then there's going to be.
the-
I think there's one opening further up also.
Yeah,
I thought
there is.
but-
Well, it's
Yeah.
been sitting there for a while. I guess they got some permitting issues or whatever, but
So yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, 10, 15 an hour on the low end.
All right. Madam Chairman, I passed out one of these to everyone on the board, and I know that the court said that egress wasn't a problem. However, when you take a look at this, which is shot from a drone overhead, as you're pulling out of the Army and Navy barracks onto the highway, the egress to the marijuana facility cuts right in front of it. There's no buffer, there's no grass area there, nothing at all. And my frustration with this process from day one is that we weren't allowed to ask questions. I've been on this board a long time. I've never not been able to ask the manager, the police chief, the fire chief a question. I know we got a Merck report. The manager should have been able to sit there and answer questions, or the public safety officials. To be on this board for as long as I have, I've never seen that. That's disrespectful to the board. I understand the report. I appreciate all the work they put into it, but simple questions like that would have been nice to ask. When a developer comes to town, we make them do a peer review. I don't know that this would pass a peer review if our engineers looked at it. I think there's a better way to access the property, and then maybe I could support it. But this is very tough for me because there's already a cross there on the road when you're pulling into somebody got killed there. And now we're going to add more cars coming out. It's just the only other situation like we have like this is the deceleration lane at Walmart, which I think is the dumbest traffic pattern in Saugus, where you have someone cutting out and someone cutting in at the same time. But there is a deceleration lane there. Here there is not. I just think if your egress was changed to have one entrance in the middle where you come in and come out, you gain your 4 parking spaces on the sides, but you'd at least have a 30-foot buffer between you and the Army and Navy barracks. You don't have that here. And again, my frustration is we couldn't ask a question of anybody to find out why that is that way. To me, this makes no sense. I think there's better ways to do it, and I understand the court's decision, but I think when you look at it from the top down, I think it's an accident waiting to happen, and I certainly can't support something like that. I think if you were willing to make a change and have one of our engineers take a look at it, I could support it. But this is very tough because it's one of the only situations in the town where someone's cutting in front of you and you're cutting out behind them. Everything else comes in and goes out. This is different. It's certainly not unique because of the deceleration lane at Walmart, but this is a much different situation. There's no deceleration lane, and I just think that whole egress could have been done better. And if we got to ask questions of the manager and the Merck team, maybe we could have resolved this earlier. But this is a tough one. I don't know how the rest of the board feels on it, but it's a tough one for me. I think there's better ways to get in and out of that property.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chairman,
Selectman Serino.
I know the Department of Transportation over the years have been trying to eliminate all the egresses and accesses on Route 1 and combine them. Have you spoken to the Department of Transportation on that?
Well, I mean, since the court's ruling, given the fact that the court said, look, for the purposes of this board, egress is resolved, you know, we haven't dug further deep into it because we're trying to sort of get through this part right before we dump, you know, more time. But so we do have to go to site plan approval, right? We have to go to planning board, and site plan approval is going to.
Can't hear you.
I'm sorry. We do have to go to site plan approval with the planning board. And so these issues are all going to come up again. And it could be that the planning board, you know, wants a peer review. I don't think any of the 7 that were before were, you know, requested peer review. But it could be that, you know, these issues now, so we didn't dig into it further since the court made that ruling, just because we feel like it's resolved for the purposes of the select board.
Yeah, I know they just put a 40B development back there, and they combined the entrance to Wendy's and that development, and then you can circle around and come out of McDonald's, which is right beside it. So they are trying to eliminate as many access and egress points as possible on Route 1 and combine the businesses to use one
Well,
access.
I mean, I think that's Mr. Cogliano's concern, though, is the fact that we have a combined for 2
Right,
businesses.
that's what they're looking for.
Well, so it sounds like if that's what they're looking for, but that's your concern for safety, I don't know how to, you know, I don't know how to
So,
resolve those 2 things.
just to clarify, I'm sorry, Mr. Sereno, just to clarify, you're not using the egress from the Army Navy store. You're putting your own in right adjacent to it with no barrier between.
My understanding, it's one curb cut for both businesses, which is what I think, what seems like MassDOT is looking for.
If you're looking at the drawings and you look at the drone photo in your drawing, this is what I was trying to explain to you. This drawing clearly shows that they're coming out and you're going in right at the same time. You even have it on your drawing. You've got an arrow coming, you've got a line coming out, which is where they'd be coming out of the Army Navy barracks, and you're going in right in front of them. There's no deceleration lane, no buffer. However, if you took out that first, where your green is in the middle, and made one entrance in and one entrance out in the same spot, so he's coming in and they're coming out, you'd gain your 2 parking spaces on each side. You wouldn't lose any parking, but you wouldn't have this situation that I think it's terrible.
And so, Mr. Cogliano, I don't want to, you know, belabor something that's already resolved. I mean, let me just say.
You can say it's resolved.
Briefly, the court is going to take Selectman Cogliano at his word that he's going to follow the law on this thing. Doesn't have any disabling biases now that the court has found all the facts concerning location, egress and exits, parking, and has further found that cannot take into account any longer the pendency of the BOSTA application or trust that the board will follow the law on remand. That's what the judge said. The court is going to take Selectman Cogliano at his word that he's going to follow the law on this thing. The judge has laid out the law.
And I'm trying to protect the safety of our residents, too.
Well, we have to go to site plan approval, and, you know, and maybe the planning board will agree with you, you know, but like, I can't do more than what's been in front of the board, you know.
Well, this is what you presented to me tonight, and judge's decision or not, you got a better option to move that entrance to the middle and make one egress in and out. That's my feeling on it. You have 4 other people here. You certainly don't need my vote, but I don't feel comfortable at all with it.
Yeah, sorry.
So, Madam Chairman.
Selectman Chicalini.
So I just want to point out a couple of things that I've learned along the way in the process, which I think, just for the community's knowledge. When you establish a MERC, the MERC isn't reporting to us as a Board of Selectmen. MERCs are reporting to whoever's negotiating the host community agreement, whether it's a committee or a mayor or a town manager. So I understand your frustration about not being able to ask questions, but the whole reason of that is to avoid bias and avoid other issues with the MERC because they already issued their report. But I do understand your frustration, Anthony, I do. But I did verify this with people in my firm who have sat through these and heard similar concerns. So it's really an issue with how the state set up the guidelines of the MERCs, how they'll report and how they issue their report, is they're reporting directly to the person who's responsible for negotiating the end result, the host community agreement and the final deal. Our job as a member of this board is to vote on the location and to make sure it's suitable, the location's suitable. If we are to approve you tonight, as you just said, that's what I was going to say, it still has to go to planning board. And I do think that there's merit to the comment about
maybe maybe the planning board will talk about, as long as you're not losing parking spaces and you're improving customer safety, and the planning board felt that way with site review, peer review, it's going to go through a peer review at the planning board. If they, and I'm sure we could speak on that matter, they may choose to say, yeah, the site's fine, but our preference is to have your location go through the middle with 2 lanes, et cetera, close up the other 2, pick up your parking spots over there. But that's not for us to determine tonight. So, it's not that I'm not hearing what you're saying, but for what's brought forth for us tonight, based on the facts and circumstances, based on the results of the judge's ruling, that is not a factor that we would take into account in our vote tonight, unfortunately. So I couldn't say, yes, I agree that it needs to be looked at, but this isn't the venue for it to be required. It's going to be the next step. If it's approved here with 4 votes or 5 votes, if it gets approved, it has to go to the next step, and we would ask that there's a peer review and make sure the engineers look at it and make sure that if they think that too, I'm sure the judge isn't an expert on traffic flows and traffic patterns, but I would feel a lot better if an engineer signed off on the way it's presented now. It's not my area of expertise either.
Yes.
So that's my point. If I do vote to support this tonight, I'm not saying I don't disagree, all right? I'm not saying I disagree with the comment that this situation looks perfect. It does not, to a layman's, to my eye. But I do trust the planning board, and I do trust the peer review process, that if they sign off on it, that's a totally different thing. I've done site walkthroughs with planning board members and engineers, and I've disagreed. But I've agreed to disagree because they're the experts, and I let them figure out. You want to ask me an accounting question, then I can then I can opine on it. But so for my vote tonight, I'm going by the letter of the law of what we were told we're allowed to take into consideration, and unfortunately, that's not one of the items that I can take into consideration tonight. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Selectman Chicalini. Any other comments?
Madam Chair, through you.
Selectman Riley?
I don't know if you can answer this or not, but I'm just curious. When we started all the hearings, when it first, came to Saugus, we had we had discussed the safety part of, under the influence. And at that time, there was no test for police to, submit to the driver if they were under the influence of marijuana. I'm just wondering if there's been any update to that, or what they do now because when you're driving and there's a car in front of you and someone's smoking and it's coming in your car, you can tell that they're smoking while they're driving.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, as far as the state goes, what have they done to increase the safety of people driving under the influence?
So what I've heard scientifically is that they are trying to come out with breathalyzer that's related to cannabis, and they're getting close to having something like that actually works. But other than that, I think it's field sobriety, right? Looking, the way officers perform field sobriety tests, look at somebody's eyes, are they red, are they bloodshot, are they dilated, or they drive. I think most people who are under the influence of cannabis seem to drive slower, right? And so that's a red flag, I think, when you're driving, at the bottom of the speed limit or ultra slow, or you're missing turns, so you're swerving, that kind of thing. But as far as I know, there is no sort of definitive field sobriety like there is for a breathalyzer for alcohol yet. But officers are definitely being trained on cannabis after it became legal. It's part of their training, without a doubt. And frankly, I just don't know. I think cannabis was available everywhere anyway. The purpose of all of this was to make it so that it wasn't sold by a drug dealer to a kid with, other drugs at the same time, was produced in a clean way so it's independently lab tested without heavy metals and mold and pesticides, and then also was taxed so the community and the state could enjoy some revenue from it. And those are finally starting to be met, and hopefully be met soon in Saugus, at least, with 3% from us and 3% from Sanctuary. But as far as a definitive way for officers to know, I think they're just trained in field sobriety tests to recognize cannabis as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? So the storage of marijuana on your site, do you have a separate place, room?
Yes.
How is the marijuana stored securely?
So we have a separate vault room, right? And it's under lock. It's under lock and key. Only management is able to go in there, and an inventory manager. Not every single dispensary agent or employee is allowed to go in and out of the vault. And then not only does the way UMA does it with a vault room, they actually do it pretty cool. So they have a vault inside a vault, right? So they have a larger vault, which is their inventory room. And so they have their vault room where cannabis is stored, you know, but then cannabis is also inventoried and packages are filled in the outer vault, which is their inventory room. And then there's a pass-through, like a opening in the wall, which closes and locks with a crossbar at night. And during the day, that pass-through is open. And so when they get an order, you know, the order gets processed, sent back on the computer via the Blaze, the point-of-sale system, and then they produce the order, and then from the inventory vault, which is also a secure vault, and these vaults are steel mesh lined, right? You can't get in, and then they go from the inventory room out that pass-through. So there's a vault, and then there's a vault inside the vault. So it's like the way these guys do it is like an extra level of security. UMA does everything sort of they make life harder on themselves, but they basically are issue free because of that. So yes, it's stored in a vault.
Thank you. I just want to piggyback on something that Selectman Ciccolini said. Our fire chief and our police chief have looked over the plan. They felt comfortable with what you had. It's going to go through planning board. I am sure that before our town manager would give out a host community agreement, he's going to make sure that everything is safe and secure. So those are my final words on this before I open it up to the public, unless board members have anything else they'd like to say. Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak in favor or opposed to this application? Yes, sir. Yes, please.
I'll get out of your way, John.
Your name and address, please.
Jonathan Capano, 9 Herman Road, Lynn, Massachusetts. I have some materials here I'd like to pass out to the board, if that's all right.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Only about 6. Sorry. Selectman Riley, just quickly on your question of the OUI, I've been working with the lab that's trying to develop this technology for both trains and vehicles from OUI, so I'd be happy to put you in contact with them if you'd like to learn more about that and the public safety with OUIs.
Thank you.
Okay. As I said, my name is Jonathan Capano. I've been an attorney in the cannabis space for 6 years now. I've done licenses from Lynn to Lennox, roughly 100 licenses to the CCC. I've been in the cannabis space for quite some time. I'm also a social equity applicant, which we'll get to at the end of the, my presentation here. I started this process in Saugus as a Saugus resident back in 2022. So it's important to me that, you know, I come here tonight and kind of put my best foot forward and let you know that reasons why I may disagree with this application. First, I just want to look at the licenses, direct you to the first, if you look at your table of contents, the first 7 pages. You see UMA Cultivation has had a license since 2021. That license has not been updated since. It means they've made no progress in that direction. Maybe they have, but they haven't gotten it online, and now we're in 2025. The next couple licenses are intriguing because we started off on the state compliance piece, as you mentioned earlier tonight. UMA Flowers, as they've mentioned, operate Pepperell, Lunenburg, and if you go on their website and you look at the packet I provided with you tonight, they also have a retail license in Waltham opening up soon. That would put them at the state license cap of 3. Now, that's important because they can't open Saugus with this same ownership structure under the current state regulations and bylaws. So what does that tell you? 1, they're going to leave a town that they made the same proposal to in the dust. They're not going to turn back. They're going to go to Saugus. is that really the partner that Saugus wants? What happens when the next best thing comes along? Do they want to go to Boston? Are they going to leave Saugus behind? They've sat here and made this same proposal to those 3 towns, and now they're leaving one. So I just would like you to think about that type of partnership. The other reason might be that the Merck report leaned heavily on their retail experience. Maybe one of these businesses is closing. Cannabis is a very difficult industry to operate in. It's unfortunate. Retail standalone is a very tough business to operate in, but this is the reality we live in. One of these may be closing. I don't know the exact details, but the way it sits right now, they would be in direct non-compliance with the state regulations, having 4 retail licenses under the same ownership group. I'd then like to take you to the page 9. The CCC amended their regulations on November 22nd of 2024. This brought in minimum equity standards, as you heard earlier tonight, that allows the CCC to step in and take certain equity standards to make sure that there's fair, equal participation in the cannabis industry. Now, if you read these sections, I've highlighted them there for you: 935 CMR 500, 181 3A3. Cities and towns creating a local process for equity applicants that is administrated on a one-to-one basis, where a general applicant may be approved only after a social equity business has commenced operations. Host communities may choose to administer a one-to-one local approval process until such time as 50% of the licenses operating the host community are social equity businesses. Furthermore, in 935 CMR 181 3D, host communities must adopt local rules or bylaws on or before May 1st, 2024. A host community shall submit an attestation, form or manner determined by the Commission, affirming that it's adopted local laws to effectuate the compliance with 935 CMR 1813 and identifying specific laws passed. It goes on to say in the regulation that I haven't highlighted here that a city or town will be subject to a fine and a review period by the Commission if these measures aren't put into practice.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes,
I
Selectman Chicalini.
appreciate you coming forward to us. I think you're preaching to the wrong board, though. We're under a judge's order to vote tonight on the location, not on the bylaw, not on the logistics, not on the legalities of the bylaw. That's not our purview. Bringing this to us, thank you for the information, but it's irrelevant to us as a group and what we're approving. If they need to change the bylaws in the town, or if the town manager needs to deal with it when he's negotiating a host community agreement, that's a totally different situation. They don't have 3 licenses yet. They might have the applications. That has nothing to do with, we're not voting on if their qualifications make this a suitable site. We're voting on if the suitable site makes it a suitable site.
Understood.
That's what we're voting tonight.
Yep.
So I understand what you're saying, but I don't want to muddy the waters. I read the legal opinion, I read the lawsuit, the results of the lawsuit, and that judge made it very clear. If we were to vote this down 3-2 tonight, or 0-5, they're going to go back and appeal, and the judge is going to demand the license be issued.
Understood.
That's what's in that report. I read it. I know what it says. I don't want to make it sound like this is a rubber stamp, but they took away any authority we really have. They gave us very specific criteria. There's a couple of things that we looked at, that we can look at, based on the site. Does it meet the location? Does the security meet the security requirements? Yes and yes. And then after that, it's out of our hands. So I'm not trying to cut you off, but honestly, you know, we got this till 7, and I just want to make sure if anyone else wants to speak, they have a chance too, because
Of course.
whatever you say, we can't act on it anyway.
Understood. I think it's in the best interest of the residents of Saugus, who you guys do represent. So I just wanted to provide what I could. I mean,
I suggest, though, if this comes up, you can bring it up to the town manager. Maybe bring it up. You've spoken at town meeting in the past. Maybe there needs to be modifications in the process. But for now, based on their application date, when they applied and they appealed, we're under specific regulations as well, and we have to comply with those, because I'm not going to spend more taxpayer dollars on lawsuits and attorneys to try to get our hands slapped and tell us that we did something wrong.
Understood. So I'll end it there. I just figured I'd bring you this information, seeing that it is a public hearing. Wish you nothing but the best of luck. I truly hope it works out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor or opposed to this application? Yes, sir. Yes, please. And your name and address, please.
Steve Lopalato. I own the property that abuts them, 30 Broadway, for 15 years now. Both of my LLC, One North, and I operate Army Barracks also. You know, it's been empty over there. I'm happy to see that something is going to happen there. But this selectman hit my one concern, and my only concern is the egress. So I don't know if you can put some type of notation in as it goes to planning that this is something that they could take into consideration, but I am worried about my customers now punch out onto the highway, and if they're going to cut across, that's my only concern. I really hope they operate there. I think it would bring business to the area, but I do not want to see accidents and safety as a result. That's my only concern, and he hit it right on the head.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak in favor or opposed. With that said, would somebody like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Madam Chairman,
Selectman Chicalini.
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
And that is second by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of Selectman Chicalini's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Selectman Chicalini.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we grant the request of Uma Flowers pursuant to the order of the Land Court, remanding the matter back to us, entered on December 10th, 24. This will give them the S2 permit based on their application to allow for recreational marijuana at 24 Broadway, Saugus, 01906. Their hours of operation, as mentioned, were Monday through Sunday from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. as allowed, the maximum hours by the bylaw. And I would ask that we make a note to the town manager and Meredith that when this does go to the planning board, we'd like them to make sure that they get a peer review and sign off by appropriate levels on them, as noted by Selectman Cogliano, on appropriate means of entrance and egress.
Madam Chairman.
Yes,
Madam
yes,
Chairman.
Selectman
And
Serino.
Just-
one other thing, Mike. The fire department also wants to make sure that they comply with the sprinklers and addressable fire alarm system as well.
Selectman Serino.
Madam Chairman, speaking on the motion, just my thoughts on the application.
Let me second it first, and now this discussion. Go ahead.
Uma Flowers did meet all the criteria, including parking. They found the merit report to be credible, and I know DOT is encouraging shared egresses and accesses on Route 1. They want to get rid of as many as they can because it's dangerous for the traffic flow. I certainly support your application. I did the first time for the reasons that you do have the experience in the business. And my reasons, other reasons are it's not close to any schools. It's not close to any marijuana establishments other than Malden and Melrose has one, but where you are located north, Peabody, Danvers, Middleton, Wakefield, Linfield do not sell recreational marijuana, so you might be able to capture, I think you'll do well there, you'll be able to capture their businesses. And we also have the opportunity to expand our commercial tax base. That property's zoned commercial, but it's never been taxed commercial because there was a house on there, and it's always been taxed as residential property. And residential tax rate is about $10 per thousand. Commercial is $20 per thousand. So we could double the tax base on that property if that was commercial. Because the assessors, the Board of Assessors don't assess property of how it's zoned. They always assess it according to the use of the property. So even though it's zoned commercial, it was only being used as residential, but now it'll be used as commercial, so that'll be a plus for the town. So you'll probably get a tax revenue out of that property with a 4,000 square foot building of about $20,000 a year, increase in property taxes. It also will generate building permit fees versus a remodeling fee if it was a building was there already, and it'll add new growth to the town's tax base. and that'll raise our levy for next year. So those are my reasons, what I stated a year ago. The same reasons why I support it today. Thank you.
Thank you, Selectman Sereno. And just to add to that, we have a court judgment against the town and for Uma Flowers, and that's the reason why we're back here tonight. With that said, anyone else, any further discussion? Roll call vote, please, Meredith.
Selectman Riley?
Yes.
Selectman Cogliano?
Present.
Selectman Sereno?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cogliano? Vice Chairman Chicalini?
Yes.
Chairman Pinella?
Yes. The vote is 4 in favor, 1 present. Congratulations to you.
Congratulations and good
Thank you
luck.
very much.
Good luck.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, 2-minute recess, please.
Yes, seconded by the chair. Further discussion, seeing none. All those in favor of Selectman Chicalini's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? 5 to 0, yes. Good evening. We're going to continue our meeting this evening, and our town manager, Scott Crabtree, joined us. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Manager.
So under correspondence, we have the Saugus Cultural Council, and we have Dennis Gould here, who's going to speak on a Saugus Cultural Festival. Good evening.
Hi, Madam Chairman, Selectmen, Town Manager, Meredith. With me is Tori Donnell, who's the Vice Chair. She's on the committee. Tori's going to do most of the speaking, but thank you for your time. We want to update you on what the Saugus Council has been doing, Saugus Cultural Council has been doing the last year, and the upcoming festival, which we're really excited about. Hopefully it's an annual event, and we get some stuff going. As you probably all know, the diversity in Saugus, we speak 25 languages. There's a lot of different cultural differences, and we want to bring that forward and embrace it. So we have a great event coming up February 23rd, and I'll invite Tori to come up and talk.
Hello. Oh, excuse me. Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria Darnell. I go by Tori, and I live at 9 Allen Place in Saugus. I've been a proud resident of Saugus since purchasing my first home here in 2021, and immediately joined the Cultural Council here in Saugus. So I'm here to just tell you a little bit about who the Cultural Council is and more information about the festival. So the Saugus Cultural Council has been a volunteer-led group that serves this community by awarding grant funding to programs and projects that elevate cultural experiences in this town. So examples of grant awards we've given out in years past has been to the public library here, who helps provide wonderful programs on-site and outside, like the summer concert at the Ironworks. Working with the Delvina Theater Company, Fetz Memorial for field trips for the students here in town, a local town resident artist, and working with the Friends of Breakheart. And ever since then, every few years, the council issues a community engagement survey, and in the year 2023, we wanted to really see what people wanted to happen in town to help influence how we award grants. And we saw overwhelming interest for more free community events in Saugus that brings the residents together. And we take the community's feedback very seriously, and we use that as a foundation how we serve Saugus. And so in spring 2024, the council approved to organize our first event that would be a free, inclusive, family-friendly event that would celebrate the cultural fabric of Saugus. This is now the Saugus Cultural Festival that is being hosted at the Saugus Middle High School on Sunday, February 23rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. This festival will have a showcase of food, performances, and engaging activities. Right now, our performance lineup, we'll kick it off with the Saugus Public Schools a cappella group from 11:15 to 11:30. 11:35 to 11:55 will be the Filipino dance group. From 12 to 12:10 will be an Indian dance group. 12:15 to 12:20 will be a solo ballet recital. And from there, we'll have a small intermission break and bring it back at later in the hour for the Irish dance group, and followed by the Saugus Theater Company. And then we'll conclude the event with the Saugus residents mariachi band, Veronica Robels. She's well known in East Boston for her community group, and she's a resident here, is going to be performing the Mexican traditional mariachi style of music. Food vendors will have a mix of Salvadorian, American soul food, Indian cuisine, street tacos and quesadillas, and Turkish cuisines. And we've also been partnering up with the local Boys and Girls Club, who's going to have a room at the event, who's going to take it over to have an art table for all people to be able to take home projects. There'll be a gaming tournament set up there for children as well, and a music mixing station with music instrument petting zoo. And then the last group that we have that will be in the half court at the school is Circus Up, which is a nonprofit social circus that builds community of all abilities. And so I'm just going to close quickly just saying our vision is that this event inspires others to create more thoughtful, engaging, and educational programs in Saugus. And we hope that everyone tells a friend, a family member about this festival, and come join us and celebrate each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tori. Yeah, we're really excited about this. This is our first annual. Next year, we're going to engage, we try to engage the Saugus Public Schools this year to try to do artwork and display it during the event, but it just didn't work out this year. But we'll make sure we work with Mr. Hashem for next year to make sure the Saugus students do their art and we can display it, because we want to show all art forms during this event. I was remiss, I should have said that the Massachusetts Cultural Council is a major sponsor in WIN Innovations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is our first citizens' comment for the evening. Would anybody like to speak before the board? Yes, sir. Could you come to the podium, please?
Good evening, members of the Board of Selectmen, Town Manager, and fellow residents. First, I'll say my name, Mark Sacco, 16 Westford Street. I'm here tonight to bring attention to an issue that is deeply important to many in our community, preserving Stalker Playground as a space for children. Recently, in response to concerns about the future of this important community space, I just wanted to point out legal action has been taken, and the residents have filed a lawsuit with the land court. While the legal process is underway, I want to emphasize that this is a community-driven effort to protect a vital resource for families in Saugus. The residents surrounding Stalker are committed to ensuring Stalker Playground remains a dedicated space for children. And I encourage all who value this space to stay informed and involved. Together, the community can preserve Stalker Playground for future generations of children. And lastly, I just wanted to clarify something I discussed with the local journalist. I am not the driving force behind this movement. It's the community at large. Over 130 petitioners have signed in opposition to the dog park. And as of 2 meetings ago, there is a discussion to preserve and protect Saugus Playgrounds has already been warranted for a town meeting. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak before the board? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our public hearings. Notice is hereby given that the Saugus Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing on the request of Family AP Corp., 44 Broadway, Saugus, Mass., doing business as Tribu Mexican Kitchen and Bar for a common victuals license and entertainment license to operate Tribu Mexican Kitchen and Bar, 44 Broadway, Saugus, Mass. 01906. Paul Mongier, 271 Reservoir Avenue, Revere, Mass., and Abner Gonzalez, 614 Tremont Street, number 2, Boston, Mass., owners, and Paul Mongier, manager. This hearing will be held in the Saugus Town Hall Auditorium, 2nd floor, 298 Central Street, Saugus, Mass., on February 4th, 2025, at 7:05 p.m. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Manager, Madam Clerk. My name is Attorney Patrick McDonald. I maintain a law office at 479 Eastern Avenue in Malden, and I represent the petitioner in the matter before the board. Family AP Corp. And its principals, Mr. Abner Gonzalez and Mr. Paul Mongui, in their efforts to obtain licenses to open and operate a restaurant at 44 Broadway here in Saugus. That's the site that most recently was operated as Oi Restaurant, but has been vacant for a couple of years at this point in time. This matter was before the board, and I'm sure the board recalls, I believe in early November of last year, initially on an application for liquor license, common vic license, and entertainment license. I had been brought in shortly before the hearing date. I had not prepared the application and supplemental materials, and I noticed a number of errors in the package, oversights, incorrect information, etc. And I had asked to be able to supplement the application with corrected pages. But the board had expressed at that time some concerns, several concerns. One was with the nature of the transaction itself. Initially, the transaction was somewhat atypical in that it was not characterized as a sale of the liquor license by the current holder, which the name escapes me at the moment. 44 Broadway Restaurant Group is holder of record of that license. But rather, the property was going to be leased to the applicant long-term for 20 years. And the liquor license would be available to the applicant as long as it was a lessee of the holder. The board expressed discomfort with the nature of that, and the thought that it might not pass muster either here or even at, or perhaps more importantly, at ABCC level. Also, there were some concerns about the fact that there would be entertainment offered, and that this might be a situation where the applicant was trying to sneak an entertainment venue in under the guise of a restaurant, open up a dance club or something like that, but not really have as its principal focus the restaurant business. As a consequence of the need to amend the package in many ways, and the board's desire not to have things coming in piecemeal, and also the expressed concerns about the nature of the transaction and the nature of the entertainment that might take place, the applicant was asked to reassemble and resubmit the package in a more palatable form for the board. So after that meeting, counsel for the license holder and myself acting as counsel for the applicant put together a restructured package, which again is somewhat atypical, but at least is a sale transaction in the conventional sense. When you see in the package the purchase and sale agreement, you see that the holder, 44 Broadway Restaurant Group, is selling the license to these folks for $1. It is reserving a right of first refusal / option to purchase that license back for $1, and that is spelled out in both the lease and in the purchase and sale agreement. In the event that if this applicant is approved for the license, if at any time after that the lease is terminated, it ceases to operate its business at that location, or if it seeks to transfer or sell its license, it's always going to have to give it back to 44 Broadway Group for $1. Excuse me. So, again, the license was, the transaction itself was restructured in a way that we hope is more palatable to the board. We recognize, again, it's not the most conventional type of transaction, but at least now it is a purchase and sale transaction. Perhaps more importantly for the board, however, is the concern regarding the nature of the establishment itself. The proposal is to have a 212-seat full dine-in eating establishment with multiple floors. They do seek to have entertainment, dancing, live bands, etc. But we want to impress upon the board to the greatest extent we can that these gentlemen intend to operate a restaurant. They are restaurateurs. They, as mentioned at the previous hearing, they are currently owners and operators of another licensed establishment in Somerville, Tulum, Mexican cuisine, and it's been very successful for them. It's provided the wherewithal for them to branch out into a potential new establishment here in Saugus. But they're restaurateurs. They're not club operators, and they don't seek to operate a club. Their kitchen will be open the entire time the restaurant is open. The license that we're requesting be transferred is a 1 a.m. license. They intend to have their kitchen open, perhaps not till 1 a.m., but till at least 12:30 every night they're open. They're going to serve food the entire time, and as I said, they're they're a 212-seat establishment. Their objective and their primary goal is the sale and service of food. Alcohol sale and entertainment are ancillary to that primary objective. That's the plan, and that's what they want to do. That's what they do at their other establishment. They are not trying in any way, shape, manner, or form to disguise a bar, a club, a lounge as a restaurant. They plan on operating a restaurant. Mr. Mongui is the proposed manager. He's the manager of record at their other establishment, Tulum, in Somerville. He presents with excellent experience. He has a long history. He comes from a restaurant business family, and he's well-versed in all the laws and regulations that apply to the sale and service of alcohol. We've presented an explanatory letter to the board, which would, if approved, would also be to the ABCC, to explain how he's going to handle being manager of record in 2 establishments. He is manager of record at the Somerville establishment. He'll be manager of record here. His intention and the intention of both of the proprietors of the business is for him to focus exclusively, at least initially, on the Saugus location. This will be their new venture, and he will be the full-time manager here in Saugus, with full-time being defined as 40-plus hours per week. So he will be on site more than he is not on site when it comes to this establishment, if granted. The transaction itself, the money involved is, again, it's been generated by their successful restaurant business in Somerville. They've provided the bank statements to show where that comes from. They're looking to make a very long-term investment in the establishment. It's a 20-year lease if they go forward. They're looking to be there a long time. And they plan to, be a new fixture, so to speak, on Route 1. I'd suggest to the board that a full-service dine-in eating establishment that offers an entertainment component is not atypical, is not inconsistent with the businesses that currently run on Route 1 South and Route 1 North in Saugus. They want to be like some of the other businesses that are principally food establishments, but offer also a healthy entertainment aspect. Pocari's comes to mind. Kowloon comes to mind. There are establishments on Route 1 that offer, again, an expansive entertainment aspect, but no one could suggest that they aren't true restaurants. That is exactly the kind of venue that these folks are looking to operate here. So our objective between early November and now was to restructure the transaction, to address, to the extent we could, the concerns raised by the board, and to dispel any notion, again, that they're in the business of opening up a dance club as opposed to opening up a restaurant. Both parties are here. Both parties are more than happy to step before the podium to address directly any questions of the board or the town manager regarding the revised and updated application. But we hope we have addressed those concerns, and we hope the board acts favorably, and we'll welcome any questions or feedback from the board at this point in time.
Just to confirm your hours, you're looking at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., 7 days a week?
11 to 1, all 7 days a week.
That's what's in the
Why don't you come up here? State your name.
Hi, my name is Abner Gonzalez, and good night, board, good night, city manager, and Meredith. That's what we put in the application. Last time we had agreed from Wednesday to Sunday, so we're willing to open of what the board thinks as well.
Yes, Selectman Ciccolini.
So just a few things that come to mind. To you, Attorney, you had spoken and you said that the way that it's structured now is a little bit non-traditional.
Yes.
No, it's actually traditional. When you have a transfer of a license that's going to transfer into a restaurant. Usually leasing of licenses, if you look up on the ABCC regulations, usually the leasing of a license is usually precluded. They like to have a transfer, an actual ownership of
Right,
it in an
right.
establishment. So now, what you came before was a lease arrangement, where
Right.
you were going to lease the license from the owner.
Yes.
Now it's traditional. It's not a traditional, it's traditional, because now you have an actual transfer of an asset to the person who's going to be running the establishment.
When I characterized it as continuing to be somewhat atypical, I only meant that you don't see a lot of $1 transfers of liquor licenses.
That's between you and
Right,
the
right.
previous owner. There's also a $100,000 number in the agreement
Yes,
for
that's
other
the-
ancillary things. So how Kevin decided to split this whole thing up, that's between him, his
Yep.
attorneys, and you, and I don't care. I know there's a legal transfer agreement where the asset will transfer hands.
That's
and he has-
correct.
He has a first right of refusal to get it back. That's fine.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two, when I asked the very pointed question to you, sir, at the last meeting, I asked you if your intention was for this to become a nightclub, and you said ideally that would be great. Those were your exact words. That's on tape. I watched the video. You said ideally that would be great. Now we're coming back to, oh no, it's going to be a restaurant with some entertainment. And I just want to say, this town does not support the concept of a nightclub. We're not looking to bring in nightclubs. We had nightclubs. We're not looking to bring in new nightclubs. That's why I asked the question, and I appreciate your candor and your honesty that you brought forth. But now to go back and say, you know, oh, well, no, we want to be a 212-seat restaurant with liquor and entertainment being ancillary. Liquor in no restaurant is ancillary. It's the moneymaker. That's where you make your money. You're not going to make it selling burgers and selling food. You're going to make it on volume of liquor sales. That's why 95% of the restaurants have liquor licenses. That's the reason why, whether it's beer and wine or full alcohol. But I'm not, you're entitled to your opinion, but I'm just telling you, I've been on this board a long time, and I've seen a lot of restaurants come before us. Asking for 1 a.m. on all Monday through Sunday, I'm not comfortable with that with live entertainment, just as one person. You don't need my vote. My vote could be secondary if you get the support of everybody else on the board, but I will not support 1 o'clock 7 nights a week. That's just me personally, knowing that there's going to be live entertainment. I would support a concept of you being open till 1 a.m., but the live entertainment has to cut down at a different time on certain evenings. So if you look at the previous holder of the common victuals and entertainment license, that ran from 11 a.m. to midnight, Monday through Wednesday, Thursday through Saturday, 11 to 1, and then Sunday, 11 to 10. And they had 2 TVs, and then they were allowed 2 nights, 1 night a week, they were allowed a live band and live music. And that's what they had under their previous agreement. That was manageable, palatable. I would be willing to do something with you. I want to see you be successful. And then maybe let's see how this works out. And then if you want to come back and try to apply for an extension of hours, that's another opportunity. But for me to put our public safety people on the hook and say that I put my stamp of approval on something, we don't know you from Adam, right? Now you're telling me that the person who's going to be on your liquor license, which is you, sir, right, I believe, you're going to be splitting your time between 2 restaurants, but for the initial startup of Saugus, you're going to be mostly in Saugus. Okay, well, after the initial startup, or if things start going south in Somerville, and you're needed in Somerville, last I checked, you can't be in 2 places at one time. That's the concern that I have. Usually, the manager on a liquor license has 1 restaurant responsibility, not 2. And the fact that you're fairly new to the restaurant business and being an owner of a liquor license does concern me, to be quite frank. I want to see you successful. Everybody who knows me in this town, I'm a 4th-generation Saugus guy. I support businesses 1,000%, and I want nothing more than to see that restaurant open up. But that being said, I have a responsibility to our public safety people and our residents to make sure it's done appropriately and safely. And right now, for what you're asking, I don't think it's 100% there. I do think there has to be some means to scale back on some of the hours requirements. I don't care about the restaurant. I would support 1 o'clock on the restaurant side. The music needs to have a little bit more of a time restriction, in my opinion. I'm only speaking as one, I'm not speaking for the board. But I just want, if you want an entire board, including me, to be on board, we would have to have a conversation about exactly what hours you would really need for the entertainment to make it work. That's where I'm coming from on this. And I do still hold my same concerns, because you told me, and I took you as a man of your word, that you would like this to be, ideally be more of a nightclub, and you said that, you know, you're gonna try to split your time as a manager in a restaurant. And Somerville's not just a hop, skip, and a jump, especially with traffic and everything. And if there's an issue and a problem, and you have to go to Somerville for something, it leaves Saugus open without its manager on site. Those are the concerns that I'd be interested to hear how you would plan to address them.
Well, with respect to the members' concerns regarding hours, this petitioner is willing to work with the board and accept whatever the board is willing to offer. We recognize, I mean, there's a legitimate concerns you have, and if it's the board's inclination to scale back the type of entertainment or the hours or days of entertainment, I can stand before this body and say that whatever the board is willing to give them, they're willing to take. They would really like to get up and running on this restaurant with entertainment, and if that is somewhat restricted from the full panoply that appears in the application, that is not going to be the end of the world to them. And again, as you mentioned yourself, without calling it a probationary period, a period of time could elapse and both the town and the applicant could see how things go. Maybe there's not going to be a demand for that kind of entertainment 7 days a week. So we're very willing to work with the board on that. With respect to the second issue, that of Mr. Monguy splitting his time between two licensed establishments as manager of record, perhaps I misspoke. The focus is going to be on the Saugus property for a long time. It's as simple as that. It's the bigger of their two establishments. It's the one that is likely to be more successful in terms of profit generation, et cetera. I'd also point out that Mr. Gonzalez is equally knowledgeable and skilled with respect to restaurant management and operation. He is, however, not an American citizen, which precludes him from being a licensed manager. However, when Mr. Monguy is not around at one location, Mr. Gonzalez will be. And again, I understand he's not the manager of record because he can't be, because he's not a United States citizen. But were it not for the citizenship status, I suggest that he would qualify as eligible for a manager in terms of skill level and knowledge and operation. He's the backup for Mr. Monguy. So if Mr. Monguy, for any reason, isn't able to focus at any given time 100% on the Saugus location, Mr. Gonzalez will be there, not some 17-year-old barback who happened to be there when something happened. It's going to be Mr. Gonzalez. So I want to assure the board that the fact that he's manager of record for two places does not mean that either one is ever going to be without the benefit of an experienced and qualified person with respect to overseeing alcohol sale, alcohol service, and all the other requirements that go along with a licensed establishment.
Okay,
And
so,
wait, I wanted to.
go ahead.
Would you address my?
Just so you know as well, like he said, I have already kind of started the process of my citizenship, so once that gets through, I could like.
I'm sorry, I'm having a difficult time understanding you. Can you speak directly into the microphone?
I have also started my citizenship process, so once it comes through, I could also be manager in one location.
And can you address my, thank you for that. And thank you for your responses. Can you address my question when I asked you back in November? It sounded to me like this was becoming more a vision for a nightclub, and you said, yeah, ideally that would be great.
Yeah, so, you know, coming in front of it gets nerve-wracking sometimes. And I did say that, not thinking that, oh yeah, I'm gonna open up, so like, I mean, we wanna have a bar, some type of entertainment, dancing. So it can get confusing, you know? So I don't even know if, like, so when I step in here, you know, like, it gets nerve-wracking, I'm gonna be honest. So I kind of probably miss what I said, but like, I know you guys are a board that you're not for clubs. That I know, and I think I expressed the last time. As soon as we sign our lease, that's what I heard from few people, that the board is not against that. It's not up for that. So that was probably, I'm mistaken in that day, but like our main focus is the restaurant. Obviously, we want to open up, obviously have a liquor license, like you say, is 95%. We've been waiting for a long time. We paid our first month of rent today, which is very high. And I don't think we can pretty much succeed another 3 months without being open, you know? Because we're not a Burger King, we're not a McDonald's.
Yep.
We have our other business, but it's only 80-seater, so it's not like it gives us thousands of dollars a week, you know? And we're willing to work with you the hours. We just want to open.
Thank you.
You know, one of the things that Selectman Ciccolini mentioned was that the prior owner of the restaurant, his entertainment license was limited to 2 televisions. We don't care about the televisions. And just once a week, they had a live band or live music. You're looking for a DJ with pre-recorded music, live band, karaoke, dancing. I mean, that gives way of thinking it's going to be a nightclub. My initial question regarding what times you were going to be open, I was going to also say that I am not in favor of entertainment till 1 in the morning. I would never vote for entertainment till 1 in the morning. That is our residents that do live behind you, and I am not in favor of starting up a nightclub again here. But I'd like to hear from other members of the board.
Madam Chairman.
Selectman Serino.
Yeah, I'm glad you cleared up the issue with the liquor license, that it's an outright purchase now. As far as the common victor's license go, whatever time you want to stay open for food, I don't have a problem with it, but I agree with my board members. I am concerned about the entertainment license. About 10 years ago when I was on the board, 15 years ago, we went through hell in this town with these liquor license establishments. The Palace, we had to roll their hours back to 11:30 for their liquor. That's how bad it was. We had stabbing, shootings, someone got killed there. So I've been through it all, and I'm very cautious about what I'm going to support in this town when it comes to entertainment in these places. I want to thank you for wanting to invest in Saugus, but we do have to come to some agreement on the board regarding the entertainment license. And on the liquor license, I am going to make a amendment that, Paul, you're going to have to be there 40 hours a week in this establishment. If I see something happening there once, you're not there. The second time you're not there, I'm going to be calling for a revocation of your liquor license. But we've been through hell, like I said, in this town, and I'm not going to put up with it again. So I agree with Selectman Ciccolini and Panetta on trying to rein in this entertainment license. Thank you.
Selectman Raleigh?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, it's to the board, if anyone could answer me. If he's going to get a restaurant of 212 seating, is that correct?
Yeah, 212.
So what constitutes a nightclub? If you have the whole bottom floor of being a restaurant, and then is it a separate part that you just have a dance floor and then the entertainment? Like, I'm just trying to figure out what would constitute a nightclub versus it be called a restaurant.
Madam Chair, through you.
Of course.
Selectman Riley, so my vision when I heard that was in order to get 212 seats in that restaurant, there's no way they would be able to not have seating upstairs for seats. You'd need to have some of those 212 seats would be upstairs. When I asked the question in November, I envisioned it more where restaurant downstairs, bar and dancing and partying upstairs. That's what I envisioned more as a nightclub. When you used to go to some of the other establishments that Selectman Serino mentioned, there wasn't a lot of seating. It was mostly people dancing, hanging out, drinking, having fun, but that type of environment leads to more consistent drinking, more problems, more risks to our public safety people, and I just think that that's a path that the town has been kind of not following for the better part of, 2 decades. So for me, if the upstairs is also going to have seating
Yes,
and going to also be treated like a restaurant,
yes,
and similar to what they had while Oy's was there. They had seating up there, but they also had some music up there, and they
Right.
also had the bar and whatever. That, to me, is not technically a nightclub. But if they're going to start moving tables aside at 10 o'clock at night and to open up more dance area and stuff, now you're starting to take more of a form of a nightclub environment, and that's something that I would be concerned about.
well, they're not planning on moving furniture around, Selectmen, to accommodate more dancing. There's space identified on the floor plan for entertainment, dancing, and other things, and that's what that space will be used for. The remainder of the space on the second floor is seating. And again, full service, full menu, almost entire time the establishment is open. People can eat full dine-in on the second floor. As a practical matter, later on in the evening, are people ordering big giant meals? No, but at least they can. Many other places, you close the kitchen at 9 o'clock, then you're just asking people to drink for 3 or 4 hours, and nobody wants that, but we recognize that. But if your kitchen is open, at least there's food available for your clientele and your patronage, and having food available is always preferable to not having food available.
So I do have one other question.
Sure.
Because you're making an assertion or a claim that you're going to be on site at least 40 hours a week here, have you notified Somerville of your intent to become an additional manager on a separate license in another community and the commitment you're making to this community?
Oh, hi. So my name is Paul Mungi. For your question, actually, I already did, and I already thinking about option C, basically, because my option B will be Abner Gonzalez. Once we become a citizen, he will take either Tulum or Trevo here in Saugus. But I also have a option C that will be my sister. She's actually the manager in Tulum. So in case, for example, if Abner takes longer becoming a citizen, then I'll have my sister take care of the license in Tulum.
So you spoke to the city of Somerville?
Yes, already.
Would they be willing to give us something in writing to say that they're okay with the fact that you're committing to 40 hours a week in Saugus?
Yeah, I could actually, probably tomorrow I'll go there and I can ask them for that.
I mean, we still can vote tonight, but I could add that as a contingency that we get a letter from Somerville so we can protect us and know that they're okay. They're not going to find you in violation. Then you're going to have to sneak out of Saugus to go there to get coverage. If Saugus gets a letter from Somerville saying we acknowledge the fact that he's at least 40 hours a week will be on site in Saugus, I would have a little bit more. And it would be during the evening hours that I would expect you to be on site in Saugus, not at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I can definitely do that tomorrow as soon as possible, yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Selectman
Do you
Cogliano.
have any other managers at your Somerville location? Is there any other managers on site in Somerville?
Yeah, so right now I just have my sister. She's
Probably easiest thing to do is put your sister on as the manager of record in Somerville. Just go before their licensing board and change the manager of the establishment. And then you can be in Saugus, she can be there.
Yeah, I could definitely do that, yeah.
One other question. Selectman Ciccolini brought up Kevin's previous hours of operation and entertainment. Could you live with what Kevin had there on site?
Can you repeat those hours again, ma'am?
He had Monday through Wednesday, 11 to midnight, Thursday through Saturday, 11 to 1, and Sunday, 11 to 10.
We can do that, yes.
And the only thing I want to add is knowing what goes on in Saugus right now, you're never going to be open those hours during the week. It just, the business, you won't get the traffic for it anyway. So if your license is till 12 or 11, you'll be lucky to see that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Believe
Yeah.
me. It just, since COVID hit, everything's changed. People aren't out as late, especially in this town. They're not, I mean, Kowloon they're not even open till midnight most of the time, because the crowd goes home. So, and they're the busiest place in town. So if you could live with those conditions, I could support it. The only other thing I'd like to add is that I'd like to see if that they abide with Police Chief Riccadelli, and to determine whether or not they need a detail officer there, and the nights they have live entertainment. I think that would go a long way to show good faith with the town. I know they certainly come in handy.
So
They're a
can
big
you-
deterrent if there's a problem.
So what do we have to do?
If the board makes it a condition, when you have live entertainment, you'd have to hire a police detail.
Live entertainment, okay.
The only other thing I'd like to add, just for public comment, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know, but the Route 1 Grill House, they have live entertainment, they have bands, they have DJ. Kowloon certainly does, Rosaria does, K-Pub does, and the Continental did for years. So you can operate with a good mix. Those places seem to do it very well. We would hope that you'd do it in the lines that they have it.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chairman.
Selectman Serena?
Yeah, we allow the entertainment, don't get me wrong, but just to Ms. Riley's point, when we were having troubles back in the day, everybody had a license for food and entertainment till 2 in the morning. And that's why the boards over the years have been trying to cut that back to adjust it to an earlier closing time. And I think that's why you see some of these establishments do have entertainment, that we have no problem, but they're not open till 2, like Selectman Cogliano said. Even Kowloon has an old license till 2, but they're not open that late anymore. So that's how we try to control it, I think, with the entertainment license.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Town Manager Crabtree?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that the board has done, and I think a couple of you have brought it up, is looking at, and I think the board in the past have done this for new places or just places that had maybe had issues, is that you have you put a condition on the live entertainment so that it's ending, an hour and a half before closing time, and then obviously the conditioner's last call is, an hour before with all drinks up a half hour before, like no drinks can be on it, and you put those conditions in the license. I think there's a ton of licenses that have those conditions in them. That's one way of trying to figure out, how things are going, and if it's primarily restaurant or if it's turning into, like you say, that's where the money is. Everybody tries to turn it into a nightclub, and it becomes, less tables and over the time. But, it sounds like it's going to be a great restaurant. And, that's one of the conditions that I think that are in a lot of the licenses have to do with the entertainment. Live entertainment has to end, an hour and a half prior to the closing time so that the music's shut off. And then you have last call an hour before closing, whatever time you set. And then you have all drinks have to be up off the table a half hour before the closing time.
That is in our liquor rules and
Yeah,
regs.
I think it's in the
Half
rules and
hour,
regulations.
Plus the 40 hours a week, so already in our liquor rules and regulations. That you have to be on premises 40 hours, all the drinks have to be off the table a half hour before closing.
But I think, like Selectman Cogliano said, I think the easiest thing is to change in Somerville, because I think this is going to be an issue with, if you're trying to share responsibilities in 2 different communities,
Yeah.
just put your sister on the Somerville one and
Yeah.
dedicate yourself here so the place gets up and running and it's successful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's a good
And it
suggestion.
should be easy in Somerville, because you already have a reputation there, and you've already been operating, and your sister she can go on, she's citizen, no problem. She's not applying or anything, so that she could go on. I think that would be.
Because
that would be-
ultimately,
change of manager
What?
A change of manager application would be a very straightforward
Yeah.
matter in Somerville.
Ultimately, that's the issue, right? If he's getting the license, he's the manager, he's responsible. I mean, I know alcohol and all this stuff goes on everywhere, but there's a lot of responsibility of having a liquor license to the public and serving alcohol, as much as we sort of, it happens all the time. You have drunk driving, you have
All right,
responsible
there's
stuff.
a lot of things coming out, so I want to make sure I'm keeping track, though.
Yeah.
So we're saying last call would be an hour before, with the drinks
All
up
drinks
by-
have to be off the bars.
Half an hour prior.
before, and then the entertainment you can cut back, say,
Or
an
make the
hour and a half.
entertainment match the last call at an hour prior.
Correct. So then it has to get
So
shut
your
off.
entertainment and your last call would be, match each other.
Because in general, I mean, I don't know if that's the type of place, but in general, and Anthony, like, a lot of times what happens is, if you get the live music and all that stuff keeps going on, then
Yeah.
the drinks keep going on, the last call gets later, and then next, you know, it's after hours, and I think it's just a way of, see how it works out, and then they can come back if, you know what I mean? But like Anthony, I don't think that there's gonna be, it's probably not a need anymore. People aren't staying out that late. It's a different world right now.
So, and then the second part of that is, we can't make a condition of this that they transfer Somerville. I mean,
You could make a condition that he becomes the full-time here and is not the record of manager in Somerville.
Yeah.
So that they would have to
Yeah.
get that done quickly and they can move forward, you know. with that.
as long as you're okay with doing that transfer, I think that would be best for the town. It's going to make it a lot smoother and give us a lot more comfort, you know, that you're going to have one primary commitment. It's not saying you're still not going to go to Somerville and help there and work, but this will be your primary responsibility, because usually they like to have one manager per license, not have one person be on more than one license as manager, because they do have time requirements.
You know,
Unless
just-
you're going to work 100 hours a week, which you might do, but.
You know, and just to add to it, I think the board in the town is trying to work with you. I think part of, you know, having a license that you're really not purchasing, so to speak, and then having a manager that's not sort of managing there full-time, you're asking for a lot. I think
Yeah.
you gotta, those are the things that I think are really important.
Okay.
Just so that I'm clear, so are you
So
suggesting?
here's what I'm suggesting, I would recommend. I'm recommending Monday through Wednesday, 11 to midnight, Thursday to Saturday, 11 to 1, Sunday, 11 to 10. Last call would be an hour before each of those times, with drinks up a half an hour prior. Entertainment will expire 1 hour prior to those. So that's their hours of operation, but their hours of entertainment would be Monday through Wednesday, 11 to 11, Thursday to Saturday, 11 to midnight, Sunday, 11 to 9 p.m.
And probably make sure that the seating chart and all that is obviously conditioned on
It is
what
in
they've
there.
submitted.
Yeah, with the 212 seats.
Yeah.
Although I didn't count them, but I'm going to take their word for it.
Yeah, it's 212.
Mike counted them.
Yeah, it's 212.
I did not.
Madam Chair,
Selectman Raleigh?
through you to Selectman Chicalini, you're also going to put in there about having the detail on
Yeah,
nights.
well, I'm going to put it in that they discuss it's subject
With
to
the
the,
police.
to the opinion of the police, Saugus Police Department on the need for police detail when there's live entertainment.
And him becoming
Yeah,
full-time. Yeah,
I
off
got
the
that too.
Somerville, yeah.
Yep.
Madam
So would the
Chair.
police, I'm sorry. So would the police department let us know that they agreed to having a detail? Or would they let us know, or the manager?
We could ask the
Yeah,
town
they'd let us
manager
know,
to
yeah.
let
Okay,
us
so
know.
when you know, can you just let us know? Thank you.
And Selectman Sereno?
Yeah, Madam Chairman, you know, we want you to be successful here, and with the issues you have, like the 40 hours a week and the entertainment, you know, I think this is a good settlement from both parties, and I think you'll do pretty good over there. So on the hour before, instead of the hours before, Jeff, on the entertainment license, I would rather have state the hours that's
Yep.
for each, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Instead of saying an hour before. Okay.
Yeah, so for the hours of, I'll state the hours of operations first.
Common Vic,
Yep,
then entertainment.
yep. I'll do the common vic hours first, and then I'll do the entertainment second. I'll do that.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak either in favor or opposed to this application? Seeing none, do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
Madam Chair,
Selectman Chicalini?
I'll make a motion to close the public
And
hearing.
that is seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Chicalini's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Selectman Chicalini.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will make a motion that we grant the request of Family AP Corp., 44 Broadway, Saugus, doing business as Tribu Mexican Kitchen and Bar, for their common victuals license. I'm going to do the common vic first. For their common victuals license to operate Tribu Mexican Kitchen and Bar, 44 Broadway, Saugus. Paul Mongi, 271 Reservoir Ave, Revere, Mass., and Abner Gonzalez, 64 Tremont Street, number 2 in Boston, will be the owners. And Paul Mongi will be the manager. The hours of operation for the common victuals license will be Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to midnight, Thursday to Saturday, 11 to 1 a.m., Sunday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. 212 seats, maximum seating, and that's for the convict. I think that covers the convict requirements. That's everything for the common vic. I'm going to do it separate. Are we going to vote separately on the convict and entertainment, or do them together?
Yeah, I'd vote it separately.
Separate? So I'll make that in the form of a motion for the convict license. And they will, Tribal will be required to abide by the Board of Health regulations throughout the tenure of their operation, as well as up to 4 inspections a year per the department. And the sound systems will shut down when the fire alarm is activated, if the fire alarm is activated.
Thank you. And that's seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Ciccolini's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Selectman Ciccolini.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we grant the request for a entertainment license for Family AP Corp. for 44 Broadway, Saugus, Mass., doing business as Tribu Mexican Kitchen and Bar, for their entertainment license to operate Tribu Mexican Kitchen and Bar, 44 Broadway, Saugus, Mass., with Paul Mongi as the 271 Reservoir Ave, Revere, Mass., and Abner Gonzalez, 614 Tremont, number 2, Boston, Mass., as owners, and Paul Mongi as the manager. The entertainment license will include 3 televisions, and it will also include recorded music in the dining room, and also include options for music, DJs, and including live entertainment. There will, as stated, the hours will be 1 hour rolled back, so it'll be Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to midnight, Sunday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. On the entertainment license, this will be conditional upon meeting with the police department, the chief and/or his representative, about the need for a police detail when there is live entertainment. And the requirement for Mr. Mongi to be the manager will fall under the next hearing.
Thank you, and that's seconded by the chair. Did you say karaoke?
We can add that, yeah, and dancing.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if
And
you said
dancing,
that or
too.
not.
I
I
did
know, I
not.
was going to ask
Yeah.
for those two things.
Yeah.
Madam
Yes,
Chairman, can we add 212 seats on the entertainment license and a capacity of 254?
Yes.
The license is
Add
established.
212 on the seats and 254 capacity.
Okay, and that's seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Ciccolini's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Good luck to you. But you're going to
Good
still
luck,
stand
Tom.
here
Now
for
you
a
got to
minute.
stay and go to the next hearing.
Thank you all very much.
The good news is I think we got 97% of the dialogue done.
Yes.
So this one should be a little faster.
Notice is hereby given that the Saugus Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing on the transfer of all alcohol liquor license from 44 Broadway Restaurant Group, Inc., doing business as Oy's Restaurant and Bar, 44 Broadway, Saugus, Mass., to Family AP Corp., doing business as Tribu Mexican Kitchen and Bar, Paul Mongu and Abner Gonzalez, new owners. Paul Mongu, 271 Reservoir Ave, Revere, Mass., and Abner Gonzalez, 614 Tremont Street, number 2, Boston, Mass., owners, and Paul Mongu, manager. This hearing will be held in the Saugus Town Hall Auditorium, second floor, 298 Central Street, Saugus, Mass., on February 4th, 2025, at 7:10 p.m. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Manager, Madam Clerk. Again, Attorney Patrick McDonald with offices at 479 Eastern Avenue, representing the petitioner Family AP Corp., which hopes to do business as Tribu Mexican Kitchen and Bar. I believe we discussed in detail in the previous hearing the issues that were of concern to the board the last time this petitioner was before it in November, both with the structure of the transaction itself, with the character of the business, the board's concern at the time that it was a restaurant and not a lounge or nightclub, and concerns about Mr. Mongui acting as manager of record for 2 licensed establishments and technically having a responsibility to be a full-time manager at both of those. As discussed moments ago before the board, Mr. Mongui, well, we hope, as discussed moments ago, that the new structure of the transaction is more satisfactory to the board, more conventional from the board's perspective. We hope that the statements made by the petitioners with respect to the character of the establishment itself, that it is their intention to operate a restaurant, not a nightclub. They're going to have entertainment. They'd like to have entertainment. They are willing to open and operate subject to the somewhat restricted or more restricted hours and days of entertainment at the establishment. And as also discussed, Mr. Mongui has pledged to have his sister, who is someone who we believe can easily become manager at their establishment, Tulum in Somerville. He will immediately bring a change of manager petition for that establishment, removing him as the manager of record and replacing him with his sister, thereby freeing him up to be a sole manager of record for what the new establishment will be, Tribu here in Saugus. So hopefully all of that, again, assuages any concerns the board had. We know you can't always completely assuage concerns, but we're taking whatever steps we can to make the board feel comfortable. And this gives the applicant an opportunity to get up and running and see how things go. And if things go well, it's always their prerogative to seek changes or come before the board to request expanded hours or anything else. But they've indicated that what the board had suggested is more than sufficient for them at this point in time, and they'll happily adhere to those restrictions. So we ask that the board act favorably on the liquor license transfer application at this time.
Thank you. Do board members have any questions? Are we going to make the liquor license hours the same as the entertainment hours?
Same as the convict.
The same as the convict?
Same as the convict hours, because last call will be an hour before with drinks up by a half an hour prior.
Okay. Just want to make sure that we're all
Yep.
clear. Okay, very good. No questions from board members?
No.
Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak either in favor or opposed to this application? Seeing none, would somebody please make a motion to close the public hearing?
Madam Chair,
Selectman Chicalini.
make a motion to close the public hearing.
And that is seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Chicalini's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Selectman Chicalini.
Okay, bear with me. I will make a motion that we grant the request to transfer the all-alcohol liquor license from 44 Broadway Restaurant Group to Inc., doing business as Ois Restaurant and Bar for 44 Broadway, Saugus, Mass., to Family AP Corp., doing business as Tribu Mexican Kitchen and Bar, Paul Mongui and Abner Gonzalez. The new will be the owners, Paul Mongui, 271 Reservoir Ave, Revere, Mass., and Abner Gonzalez, 614 Tremont Street, number 2, Boston, Mass. Will be listed as the name, owners, and addresses. And Paul Mongui will be the manager. The hours of operation will match those that we previously voted on their convict license, which is Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to midnight, Thursday through Saturday, 11 to 1 a.m., Sunday, 11 to 10 p.m., last call 1 hour prior with drinks up and a half hour prior. As a condition of this transfer, Mr. Mongui agrees to remove himself as manager from the liquor license in Somerville and will become the only the manager on this liquor license in Saugus. Did I miss anything?
Seats and capacity.
Oh, we're going to do that on here, too?
Yeah.
So the seats, 212, and capacity, I believe, was what, 240?
254.
254.
And that's seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Chicalini's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you all very much.
Congrats.
You said to bring the manager document. Do you want us to bring it to the meeting, or should we give it to Meredith? Just because I think the board meeting for Somerville just passed.
Well, if you can just send, when you apply for the transfer of the license into your sister's name, send a copy to Meredith, and once it's approved, send it to Meredith.
Okay, perfect.
I think that would suffice.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, guys.
Good night.
I appreciate you
Good
working
luck.
with us, too.
Good night.
Thank you. Good luck.
Good
We
luck.
wish you much luck.
Best of luck.
It's now time for our final hearing of the evening. Notice is hereby given that the Saugus Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing on the request of Tori Saugus Food LLC, doing business as Tori Japan, for a common victualer's license and entertainment license to operate Tori Japan, 653 Broadway, Saugus, Mass. 01906, Saugus, Mass. Dexy Louis, owner, and Eric She, manager. This public hearing will be held in the Saugus Town Hall Auditorium, second floor, 298 Central Street, on February 4th, 2025, at 7:15 p.m. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yokin Wu. I'm one of the owner. I'm here represent the Tori Saugus Food, doing DBA as Tori Japan.
Could we have your address too, please?
I'm sorry?
Address?
The address is 653 Broadway, Saugus. It's in called the Fellas Way Plaza.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you're going to do, what your
Yes,
plans
we're
are?
running a quick food, fast food restaurants. It's most of takeouts. It's kind of like Japanese hibachi and the sushi items.
And you're going to be opened up, or you want to be opened up 7 days a week, 10:30 a.m. to 9 p.m.?
Yes.
Or there were two different things. That's what your application said, and then there's a letter that has different hours. So it's the application that's correct?
I think it should be, we open at 11 to 10 from Monday to Thursday. Friday and Saturday should be 11 to 10:30. And Sunday we open from 11 to 9.
Wait a minute.
I'm not sure if
I didn't that.
Yeah.
That's totally different than the other two that's in your
sorry,
packet.
my mistake.
Yeah,
So
we
if
gotta
you
say
could
that
go
again.
through that again, please?
Yes, Monday to Thursday will be 11 to 10. Friday to Saturday will be 11 to 10:30. Sunday will be 11 to 9.
And you want one jukebox?
Yes. We're playing some soft music for the customer, that's all.
Sure, and 40 seats.
Yes.
Okay. Do board members have any questions?
Madam Chair,
Selectman Chicalini?
I assume I was just reading the email trails, and at first they had a question about, Mike Lavecchia had a question about the seating, that there seemed like there was more than 40 seats. I just want to make sure, was the seating finalized and addressed at 40?
Yes.
Okay,
The old Landy, I think they had more than 40. We got rid of them.
all right.
We want to make sure our customer had enough space, between each tables.
Okay. And I apologize, I didn't see it on the application. Only a jukebox, no television?
Only menu TV, so I don't think that considered as menu.
Menu
Yes.
televisions don't count? Okay.
Yep.
That's all I had, Madam Chair.
Okay. Are there further questions?
Nope.
No.
Yeah, the only recommendations I saw, the fire department said the jukebox volume doesn't interfere with the fire alarm, and the Board of Health said just to comply with the Board of Health rules and regulations.
Definitely. I think that's the reason why the old Landy got away, because probably either city or the landlord required there's a lot of physical renovation, but they refuse to do that. That's why.
So if we grant this tonight, when do you think that you'd be open?
We're looking to at the end of March, because we started already, but last week was Chinese New Year, so all the contractors stopped what they're doing. They just started, come back out this week to start it, framing, to finish out all the framing.
Okay. Further questions?
No?
Seeing none, there's no one in the audience, but I have to say it anyway. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience who'd like to speak either in favor or oppose. Seeing none, Can I please hear a motion to close the public hearing?
Madam Chair,
Selectman Chicalini?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
And that's seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Chicalini's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Selectman Chicalini.
All right, so I'm going to do this in two separate votes again. The convict first.
I don't
Or
think-
we can do them together.
I think you
The
can do them.
entertainment's
It's only one
it's only one
jukebox.
jukebox,
You're
yeah.
fine.
All right, so I will make a motion that we grant the request of Tori Saugus Food LLC, DBA Tori Japan, for their convict license and entertainment license to operate Tori Japan, 653 Broadway, Saugus. Dexie Liu, owner, and Eric Shi, manager. The seating capacity will be 40 total. Hours of operation, Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10:30 p.m., and Sunday, 11 to 9, and we're approving one jukebox on that as well. Obviously, subject to Board of Health final approval and sign-off, and the fire department requests that the jukebox not interfere if the alarm triggers.
And that's seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion?
Just a question, Madam Chairman, on the entertainment license, we're going to do the same as a common vic?
Yeah.
Okay. Because they had 10:30 to 9, but...
Yeah, I'm going to do them together.
Okay,
Same
common
hours.
vic,
Yeah,
yeah, makes
Yep.
sense.
It's just a jukebox with soft music, so.
It makes sense, Mr. Ciccolini.
All righty.
Thank you very much.
So it was, so we were in discussion. All those in favor of Selectman Chicalini's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Chair.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good
I
luck.
actually
Good
like to
luck.
attend to this kind of hearing because every time when I come, I always learn something new, like, for other business.
Yeah.
I remember last time when I went to the city of Randolph, obtained the convict license too. Our retail liquor store selling the, always something new license. I always knew something, difference. Today they coming, I always learn something different. Thank you very much. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
It's now time for our town manager's report. Mr. Crabtree?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just a couple quick things. I just wanted to, again, we talked about this back in November and December and at a couple of the meetings, but I wanted to remind everybody that we have a conservation hearing coming up on Wednesday, February 12th, regarding the Saugus Field Dog Park. And this is, as we, I think, told everyone, we'd want to make sure that if we're going to move forward at all or go forward with this, that it meets in all the federal and state and local bylaws and environmental concerns. So that is going to be the proposed development on Saugus Field Dog Park. The project aims to transform existing dilapidated basketball and tennis courts into a vibrant, multi-use dog park and reflects the town's commitment to enhancing community space to benefit residents and fully comply with all applicable local, state, and federal environmental regulations. Again, community members are encouraged to attend the Saugus Conservation Commission meeting, which is a public hearing, and that would be on Wednesday, February 12th next week. And this will be another opportunity so that they can learn more about the proposed dog park and to share any feedback on the park. And again, just a reminder, the dog park is proposed to utilize approximately 0.64 acres of the 6.35 total acres of open space and recreational parcel there at Saugus Field. So that's just another reminder. Secondly, just another reminder, we talked about this previous, and we put some information out. I think last night there was some detours, so just be aware overnight sewer work is scheduled and continues to be scheduled on Main Street and Vine. The overnight sewer work scheduled, what's left to do is February, what's today, 5th tomorrow, on Main Street between Route 1 and Newhall Ave. And on Thursday, February 6th, on Vine Street, extending from the Main Street intersection. And the cleaning and repair of sewer lines will take place on the overnight from 6:30 PM, or 6:30 PM through 6 AM on the designated workdays. So people should be aware there might be some detours, some inconveniences, but part of this is what it includes is cleaning and lining of sewer lines and sewer subsystem 3A, as well as repairs to remove excess water inflows and infiltration, I&I, in the sewer system, which obviously is preventive maintenance and part of what our overall commitment has been for the last decade or more of trying to improve our systems, have more capacity and more reliability for our residents, and to prevent emergencies, which are very costly. I think that's all I have for this evening, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Do board members have any questions for?
Madam Chairman?
Yes, Selectman Riley.
Through you to the town manager, I just have a couple of questions.
Sure.
I had gotten a call from a resident regarding a
President of the
street
United
light.
States?
Yeah.
President Trump?
Did I say president? No, I said resident.
Hopefully he'll ease up on the grant money, because
grant
it's
money?
affected 3 of our projects, so we're not part of the,
Oh.
I think we should, the meter replacement, water meter replacement, and a few of the other federal monies that we have, I think got held up for a little bit. Hopefully that's resolved.
Oh,
And they target whatever they're targeting, but those projects, I think, are, should be out of the politics, hopefully.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah.
So, about the streetlights that are out, they were told back in September that, I guess...
Where is this from? President from where? Like-
Shore Drive, I'm escaping the name of
Okay.
the street, off of Ballard. And they were told that there's a new contractor or something changing the lights, that you now wait till you get X amount of lights before you actually go out and...
Not that I'm aware of. That's
No?
something new to me, no.
Okay,
We have
I
the
will-
same contractor that's been doing the street maintenance, street light maintenance and repair for, I think, for a while now, Daigle
So-
Electric.
So there's no, like, you have to wait so many lights to be out before they're
No,
returned?
the only thing that does happen is that when you report them, I think their schedule is they go out every other Friday. So that, you know what I mean, they go out every other Friday on scheduled work, like things that are reported.
Okay, I'll send you the street name. I just wanted to let the public know if there was another way, or
Yeah.
what's going on, of how
Yeah,
to
just
replace
call me
it,
and
so...
we'll make sure it's on the
Okay.
list. Maybe it just wasn't on the list, but there's no, we don't have a new contractor, we have the same one, and they go out, I think it's every other Friday,
Okay.
from work that's been reported.
All right, I'll send it to
So
you.
maybe they just got it mixed up, but they do, they go out on so they have enough work.
Yeah, because
you
the
know.
light's been out, I guess, in September, so it's been a while at the end of a road, so it's really dark down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, no worries, we'll take
I
care
want
of
to
it.
say Shore Drive, does that mean? Shore, but anyway, I will
I
send it
think
to you.
Shore Drive is up at Golden Hills.
That's up at Golden Hills?
Yeah.
No,
That's all right,
that's
just
not it.
connect with me tomorrow.
I will,
We'll get
I'll
it
send it
straightened
to
out.
you, appreciate it. And I was also asked to see if you would give an update regarding the entrance and exit at the senior center.
Sure.
So has the police, do you have anything yet, or could you do that?
Yeah,
in
no,
the
I mean,
future?
they're looking at it. I think that the complication with it is that if you do switch that, I think it may bring more safety, but you're now going to have to retrain a lot of people coming in and out of the thing, and it may be more problematic, and I think that's the concerns from public safety. But we can talk offline. I mean, I just think if their concern is if you change the entrance to now be the exit and the entrance the exit, how many accidents are we going to have just because of that? So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the concern.
Okay.
So,
All right,
but there's
just
other
stay
things. I
looking.
mean, we did put a speed sign there, but we can talk some ideas. I just don't want to, I don't think anybody's concerned about making some kind of a drastic change like that and then having, not a great outcome.
Okay.
Like how do you know, how does everybody know? And then the habit of going into the out and someone's coming in the in. But we can talk offline with that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it, Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Manager, is there one thing that you could please follow up on? John Chaporis, he is a town meeting member from Precinct 7. He sent me a message regarding Spring Lane. Apparently, there's a lot of potholes. It's pretty terrible down there. And I guess there's a hanging branch that needs to be removed. Would you mind very much asking the DPW if they could go and take a look, please?
Yes, so you're saying on Spring Lane?
Yes, please.
And what's, I didn't hear the first part.
Well, he says,
Debris?
it almost looks like an earthquake, and it's put many openings on the street, so there's a lot of potholes in the street.
I thought they just redid that. I'll have to go back up and
I-
take a look.
I-
Has anybody been up there? I thought they repaved it. They did a section and then they did the rest of it.
They did Spring Street. He lives on Spring Lane.
Oh, okay.
That what he said, Spring Lane, right?
Spring Lane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Any other questions for the town manager? Seeing none, it's now time to vote the minutes. We have the approval of minutes for January 8th, 2025. Somebody
So
make...
moved, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, and that's seconded by the chair. For the discussion, seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Cogliano's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
One abstention, Meredith. I wasn't at that meeting. I abstained on January 8th. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, okay, so 4 approval and 1 abstention. The next set of minutes is January 21st, 2025. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
And that's seconded by the chair. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Sereno's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We have an appointment. We have a letter from Joe Malone recommending Marsha Pollock to be reappointed to the Board of Registrars. Her term expires March 31st, 2025. It is a 3-year term.
Madam Chairman?
Selectman
I'll make
Sereno.
a motion that we approve Ms. Pollock to the Saugus Board of Registers. Marsha's been there for many, many years, and she does a great job. Thank you.
She does. Did you want to have an expiration or just vote to approve?
Yeah, do we have one?
March 31st, 2028.
Okay, sounds good.
Seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Sereno's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. There is nobody in the audience for citizens' comment. Members' motions. Selectman Riley, please.
Just the Saugus 411 is still going ahead on March 15th, and there's still more information going out and letters being mailed. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Selectman Cogliano.
Nothing this evening, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Selectman Sereno.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yeah, just to remind the public again that the Cultural Festival, Sunday, February 23rd, we're going to have artists, dancers there, musicians, poets, actors. It's something new to the community, and it sounds like fun, and I hope to see you there. And Corinne Riley, you've been spearheading our Saugus 411 for the board. That's on Saturday, March 15th. And I hope the residents, new residents anyhow, come out and attend, and you'll learn a lot about the community and what we have to offer. I know the board members usually attend and have a table set up there. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Selectman Sereno. Selectman Vice Chair Ciccolini.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to pass along, I've already told many of them because I've bumped into them, but I just want to kudos to the guys at the DPW for the work that they've done. We've been getting frequent, fluctuations of very little to moderate amounts. I think they're doing a great job of figuring out pre-treating, do we have to plow, not plow, and, just doing a nice job.
Hopefully they don't get criticized when we get in that 3 to 4 inch.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
where the problems arise.
Yeah.
'Cause nobody knows.
They're going to get
Well,
they
you
should
what I
know
mean?
by now they're going to get criticized no matter what.
No,
but-
I think my mic was off, but they do, honestly, they've had some tough routes. They've had a couple of water breaks at the same time where we've had snow and ice events. And so it's like, I think we'll get some stuff coming on Thursday again, so.
Yeah. No, and Thursday and I think Sunday, too.
Nothing,
So-
we haven't had anything heavy, but
No.
it's still enough to.
No, but they're doing a good job,
Yeah, I
and,
agree.
even Salton the other morning, before it got warm, they still went out at night because they knew it froze over and salted and stuff, and I think the residents appreciate that.
And
so.
thank the board, honestly, for the support and town meeting, the finance committee, because of the equipment, and we've really come a long way of upgrading equipment there. For
Yep.
a long time, when I first got on, there was the equipment was falling apart. And
Yeah,
we
it's
have
nice
really
to
good
see
equipment.
trucks that aren't painted yellow and,
Yeah, we get
nice
the
new
sidewalk
trucks.
plows and everything. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? We have 3
Yeah,
of
it's
those
good.
now.
I noticed
It's
the
very
rail
good.
trail is plowed too.
Yeah, not supposed to be, but yeah, we just keep it low-key. Otherwise, it'll cost you $4 million to pave it next week.
What?
Rail trail?
The rail trail.
Yeah, just gotta be careful with it, that's all.
Anything else?
But that's all I had, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank
That
you.
stuff rips up just like your, your walkway, you know what I mean?
I wanted to mention that we received a notice from Tom Travis, who's the chairman of the Board of Appeals, asking us to advertise again for the board. So we put it in the Advocate as well as the Lynn Daily item, and hopefully we get some interested people in those positions.
We have 2 openings, right? 2 openings, permanent
Well,
openings
we-
on the board?
Yeah, we had one person recently send us a letter that they want to go from a permanent to an alternate.
Right.
Yeah, the good news is we have alternates already on the table, so they already have some experience, and I think that makes a lot of sense for us.
I also wanted to mention that I've reached out quite a few times to different people on Student Government Day. I'm now working with Vinnie Serino, the chairman of the school board, and he's looking for a teacher so that we can work with somebody. We can't do it on our own. We need a teacher to bring the kids here and identify who those students are going to be. So it's a lot of work, and I've been on this now for months with the SBEC. I wanted to mention that, give my sincere condolences to the Sclafani family. Janice, she's from Saugus, Sclafani. Her dad, Vincent, died. Jim is what he's known. So my sincere condolences. And father, John Malloy, passed away. A priest from Blessed Sacrament and St. Margaret's. And we're very, very sorry for the family's loss, friends and family. And lastly, I just wanted to quickly mention that our next meeting is February 6th, which is Thursday, so in a couple of days, at 8:30 in the morning, and that will be held in the conference room. With that said...
So moved.
I didn't even have to ask the question. And that's seconded by the chair. All those in favor of Selectman Cogliano's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0.
Good night,
Good night,
everybody.
everyone,
Good
and thank
night.
you.